Hi everyone, my name is Aridam Sukutwa and this is the Awakened Generation Light Bearers, a place where we take you through the journey of true life stories of amazing individuals who have managed to overcome common life challenges through the power of Jesus Christ. And today I am sitting down with Dr. Yoshack, who has been a former president of the Tanzanian Student Association in Algeria in the year 2022 to 2024, a political party chairman in diaspora branch, a former UMC president in the year 2023 to 2024, a chairman of African Medical Students Society, and also a co-founder and general secretary of Foreign Students in Constantine, Algeria, and lastly but not least, a co-founder and a board member of African Union Student Platform. Mr. Yoshack.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm good. Shalom, shalom.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for accepting our invite. Kindly just introduce yourself briefly to the people.
Thank you. Shalom, shalom, viewers. My name is Yoshack Malekela, as she has already introduced me. I am Tanzanian and I'm doing my studies here in Algeria, University of Constantine, and I'm doing my master's. And this is the last year. I'll be finishing by God's grace this year. And yes, I think that is who I am, at least for now.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you so much. And so, where do you come from? I think it would also be awesome for us to know what country you come from and all that, a little background story.
Oh, thank you. I'm coming from Tanzania and a certain region that is called Njombe. I think you know it after.
Njombe.
Yes.
Amazing.
And yes, I'm coming from a family of 3 children.
Okay.
I'm the first one, by the way.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yes, and I have my 2 siblings, a sister and a brother.
Okay.
And by God's grace, yes, 2 of my parents are still alive, still with us, and we thank God for that. And yes, I'm here.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Welcome.
much. Okay, so again, are you a believer? Do you believe in Jesus Christ? Yes.
Yes, of course. I can call myself a stronger believer. I strongly believe in Jesus Christ. And also I grew up in the Christianity family.
Okay.
Yes, I was born in a Christian family. Growing up, my parents are going to church, and I adapted the life, going to church. And then at a certain time, I made my own decision that, hey, I have to stand on my own and make my own confession with Jesus. That, hey, Jesus, we are starting now from here, and yes.
Okay. Okay, that's amazing. So, like, in your journey with Jesus Christ, because that's very, very important in what we're going to be discussing. Yeah.
Yes.
Like in your journey with Jesus Christ, was there like, we'd like to know, like, you said you came from a Christian background,
Yes.
right? And you know, many of the times, like, as people who are born maybe in Christian families, it's like you are born into the religion.
Yes.
And sometimes you can have this thing of like, okay, you're used to going to church, you're used to, you know, singing songs, doing things, you know, your parents tell you they nurture you in that direction.
Yes.
And sometimes we can tend to confuse our parents' salvation and our parents' understanding of Jesus Christ to our own. And so for you, in your own journey with the Lord, I'm sure, like you said there was a point and there was a time where you had to make your own decision. And so what was that like? When was it like? Where was that aha moment of like, oh, okay, this is like an enlightenment for you? What was that point, and what led you? What really pushed you? Yeah.
All right. So as I said, I grew up in church, and then when I was in primary school, the year of 2006, 2007, around there, I was actually a preacher preaching at our school, during break time, during lunch time, I was really preaching to my fellow students and let them know who Jesus is. So I was already entitled into serving God. And apart from that, also I was leading my fellow children, Sunday school in our church. And despite doing all this stuff, I knew that there's a confession that I need to make with Jesus, because I can't be always walking under the umbrella of my parents' faith. They have their own faith, I have mine, I have to stand on. And I've been preaching for people, so I have to make my own confession to Jesus. I remember the first time I went to my pastor, telling him that I need to make a confession prayer.
Oh, really? You actually went to your pastor?
Yes.
How old were you?
I was, do I really remember? But it was before 2010. Before that.
Oh, wow.
I went to him and he said, oh, you're still young. So he thought that I'm doing something that I'm not aware of.
Oh.
In my heart, I'm aware, I know what I'm doing.
Okay.
I said, okay, maybe because my body is
small. Yes. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I went back. And then after some times, I remember there was, we used to have at our church, our local church, we used to have baptism sessions. You know, after a period of time, specific period of time, then we call for it. So at that time, there was a program, baptism program, and then I went to one of the church elder. A week before, I told him that I haven't made a prayer confession, and I don't want to make it before I go for baptism.
Okay, so sorry to interrupt you there. You went to your pastor and said you want to make a prayer confession.
Yes.
And you said you wanted to make it before you go for your baptism.
Yes.
Is it like there was something that was pushing you?
Yes, because I was feeling myself that I'm not. There's something that I have to do in order to be immersed totally into Jesus.
Okay.
And that thing will take me to have a confession, like, I don't know, I can say, like we are signing the memorandum of understanding between me and Jesus.
Oh, wow.
You understand? So in a bilateral relationship with me and Jesus, me and heaven, I have to make this. It's very necessary. So I have to do it, and in an order of a confession prayer first, and then baptism. Yes. So I remember it was 2011, around there. It was 21, I think, of November. I went and I received that prayer, and then a week after, I went for the baptism. Yes. And then from there, now I felt myself, I'm fully into Jesus. Now I can just move on.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow. That's really awesome. That's really amazing. I feel like it's not common.
Yeah.
Maybe in some parts of the world it might be common, but I don't think it's something that is that common. Where like a young boy just is like, you're that intentional, because many of our young boys now, it's like they're thinking about games, video games and all that, and different things. But for a young boy to be like, okay, like I can't do this before taking this step, it's like it shows like a great conviction that was inside of you, which is amazing. Okay, so fast forward after you got your baptism, then like that's when you started your intentional walk with Jesus.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay, and how is it been from then on?
And I from there I saw how Holy Spirit started using me. I was still a kid, but I used to, as I told you, I was the leader of my fellow children Sunday school, and then after there, I remember they made an announcement at our church, our local church. They said that these a little bit grown-up children, let's take them to the youth wing in our church and train them how to preach, how to pray, how to do this, read the Bible and all that, like a small Bible school. So we were taken into that program, and I remember I was enrolled with with other fellow children, but I don't remember who made it to the end with me. I don't remember. Most of them, they were dropping out. And by God's grace, they taught me very well. They taught me how do we preach, how do we evangelize, how do we pray for the possessed people, how do we pray for this kind of people. And sometimes we used also to visit sick people at the hospitals, at their homes, and whatever. Like when I see someone is possessed, I'm saying, yes, I got a job today and I'm going for it, I'm going to pray. So apart from that, also the teachings on how to preach, I remember they would call me, for example, in front of the other people in church, and then some of them are adults. Not some of them, almost everybody's adult. I'm the only kid maybe inside, and then they will call me and preach now, practice preaching.
Wow, that was amazing training.
Assume that we are in the proper church service. Now preach. Apart from that, the mentioning of Bible books in sequence order from Genesis to Liberation.
Wow, these people were not there to play.
It was seriously. And then they said from each book you must have a verse or verses that you have them in your heart. So you will come in front of the church and then start mentioning the verses that you have from the Bible without reading from the Bible. Okay. Yes. Apart from that, also we had a program where we learn how to read Bible. You are given a Bible and a passage. So you're going to read a Bible, make sure that you are reading without hesitating. Okay. So they want to check your reading skills. They taught us that we have to read a Bible in such a way where there's nukta, you put a nukta. Where there's this, you put this. Like you are reading as a story. You are leading it to other people and making sure that they are not getting stuck in the middle of the story.
I see.
So that is how they taught me from the very ground.
Okay. So you had a very good grooming in the word.
Yes, and after there, I remember as a youth in our church, we used to go in market places to preach. And I remember when I was still young, there was sometimes we don't have a proper program, but there are some people they're burning their hearts to go and to preach in marketplaces, wherever there are people who are gathered there. So I remember I was not able to since I was young and also I was also timid a little bit. I was not able to go and face them and tell them that I want to join your team. And there were two brothers. They are too much old than me, and they used to just carry their Bible each Sunday after morning service. They will carry their Bible and go into the marketplaces to preach. So I used to like that. Me as well. After that service, I will not go back home. I will stay there at church. I'm just outside there looking at them. Where are they? Immediately they are leaving the church, I'm behind them. So they will get the marketplace and start preaching, I'm there behind them. So later on, they also, I was also given some of marketplaces to preach. So I started preaching in the marketplaces, preaching in public spaces, and let people know Jesus. Yes. So we are using, I remember, two ways, either preaching or evangelization. Where we go, we talk one-on-one, talking to them about Jesus. And I remember even the first person that I was told to pray for her for the confession prayer, and she received Jesus as Christ and Savior of her life. That was my favorite person to pray for.
Wow! Oh my God! This is a lot for that. Wow!
Yeah. So that was my life while I'm growing up. When I'm growing up.
Wow, this is really, like, I'm stunned, honestly. Yes, because these things are not common now. They're not common, especially for young children. You might feel like, oh, it's too early, but then actually that time is actually the right time to get to them, because that's where also the devil catches many people there.
Yes.
Wow, that's really amazing.
Yes.
So you really had a rich background in that. And so because of that kind of strong foundation, I believe it is what has carried you to even till now.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Because after there, I remember when I went to secondary school, there also there was a student fellowship association for Christian student, of course, and I served as a chairperson of our wilaya, the chairperson, and then my goal was to make sure everyone is seeing Jesus. So they must also see Jesus through me, and they must also show Jesus to other people. I remember we had our motto, association motto, that was if I remember clearly, it was saying changing the life of the youth, and the youth to change the world. I first, then others. So we moved with this motto.
Can you repeat the motto again? Changing the
change the life of the youth, and the youth to change the world. I first, then others. It starts from Jerusalem.
It's like, you know why I'm doing ice? Because what we're talking about today, that's exactly like, this was leadership. But sometimes we feel like, you know, leadership is something that is like we have to train. We remove God from it. But I believe like that spirit of leadership, which is bringing us into the main like gist of today, like your journey in leadership and everything. Like I believe like the spirit, that spirit.
It's very impossible to take away Jesus from my leadership career. It's very impossible, because as I told you, I started manifesting everything while I'm in the church, and everything started emerging outside of me, and looking myself as where there's a gap I can stand in and make things happen, taking responsibilities upon me on behalf of other people. So growing with this kind of mindset, it has put me to where I'm becoming a leader. And good thing is that wherever I have been a leader, after I finish my time, people would want me to continue, unless I decide not to continue. Yeah, so this is I can say it's a God grace.
Truly it is. It truly it is. And I like today, like basically today, you're also gonna take us through your journey into you becoming. I think you've already started sharing part of it. Into you becoming a leader. Into you, let me not say becoming a leader, but realizing already the leader inside of you. Yes. And just from speaking with you, I realized that God really has a great hand in it. Has a great hand in it, because I can see like, okay, some of the places and some of the spheres that you found yourself in, that might not be directly connected to maybe the normal ministry that we know, like, okay, healing the sick. Some of the spaces, like maybe in political spaces and all that in the society, it's all coming from that source. Okay.
Just single source.
Yeah. And so, like, can you just share with us, like, to you, what is leadership? What does leadership? What is leadership?
Leadership, it is something that whenever I look at it, something that was founded by Jesus himself. He showed us a way on how to be a leader and how to be responsible. Remember that day when Jesus was with his disciples in the boat, and it was raining. A lot of people were going to die. Then they were crying, Jesus, we are dying. So from what they were calling, it shows that they knew that there was somebody who had responsibility to calm every situation that they were going through. So that kind of responsibility, if Jesus had that kind of responsibility, and I am running to be like Jesus, then I'm carrying the responsibilities also for people who cannot reach out their voices to where they're supposed to reach out, and for the people who are not able to do what is supposed to be done, I can get into the gap and help them to merge this gap. So in that way, I before I'm not even realizing that this is called leadership, but I'm seeing myself as I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And apart from being a leader for spiritual staffs, church staffs, I remember the first position, the bigger position for me was when I became the president of our school. When I was secondary school, is where there was an election, and I was suggested as one of the running mates. And at a certain point, I hesitated, but Jesus strengthened me because it was tough. I was going against one of my very, very own friend. So when we go to school, we are campaigning differently. When we go back home, we are studying together, discussing together, everything together. So that was a little bit hectic. And at the end of the day, yes, I became the president.
Wow.
The president. So at the same time, president of school. At the same time, president of the Christian Association of Students. Like that. So just I'm coming to realize that yes, this is what I can do, and I'm happy doing this. You know, when you have a purpose in you, and you probably you don't know it yet, you can see that when you accomplish it, or when you get to the position of accomplishing it, there's this kind of peace. You are feeling you are at peace, and you feel of doing more and more. So in that way, God is bringing, and I think is intentionally, God is bringing to you people who will teach you more, becoming of who God He wants you to be. So from there, it's like you are at a school with practical activities. You do it, you study, you do it, you study, you do it, you study. People will teach you to the point that you see, things are like that. Then I'm keeping my heart on this, and I'm continuing. Yeah.
Wow. So as you're speaking, like you are highlighting how, like, firstly you said this thing is something that you are happy to do.
Yes.
It gives you peace and fulfillment, and also, like, you also mentioned that it's you didn't even realize that you were.
Yes.
The thing is, like, exactly, which really shows like that's leadership, because you didn't say, okay, I want to become the president, but the path that you were walking was leading. You just found yourself there.
Yes.
Amazing. That's that's the spirit of leadership.
Hallelujah.
Amazing. Okay. I like, truly, it's so interesting. Like, it's interesting listening to you like talk about this, because we're just talking about how you your journey through Jesus, with Jesus, how everything progressed, and we're not even entered into the topic, and just by the testimony of it
was hard even to differentiate between. So it's like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, but inside it, you can see now Jesus is reflecting himself.
Exactly. Wow, that's so awesome.
Yes.
Okay, and so like, do you feel like I know we just touched a little bit, but I just want us to clarify on this. Do you feel we're talking about, like, I asked you, like, okay, what's your opinion on leadership, and you've shared, like, do you feel like a title makes one a leader, or a person becomes a leader? Even a person is a leader even outside of a title. Like, you don't need to be given a title to say, okay, you are this, you are that. What's your take on that?
Yeah, this is one of the good questions. What I can say is that there are some people who are holding titles, but they're not leaders.
Exactly.
Leadership is measured by responsibilities that you are fulfilling. Not only responsibilities, you may have responsibility, but you're not fulfilling. But once you have responsibilities and you are fulfilling them, this is now a definition of a leader. A a leader who is standing and making things happen. A leader who is optimistic. You have that heart of believing that even though nobody is believing on what will happen, but still it can happen. When I remember about Moses, if Moses would have to tell the people of Israel that today I'm going to do my roads like this on this water and we will show up, no one was going to believe that. He just followed what was he received from God. God told him to do 1, 2, 3. He did that, and everybody started following him. So this is sometimes can be challenging, but to differentiate a leader and a person who is not a leader, you just differentiate them by responsibilities they are fulfilling. That will get a difference.
Okay, so it's possible to hold a title and not be
title and you are doing nothing at all. Nothing at all.
Wow, that's interesting, and that's something that is very important, because I feel like sometimes people like they wait for a title to feel like, oh, maybe I'm a leader. No, you're a leader before even you don't have a just being responsible, like you said.
Yes,
okay.
And you can see that when you start fulfilling the responsibilities, people will see, God will see what you are doing, and then people who are seeing you fulfilling your responsibilities, they can have now building their trust on you that if they put you in a certain position, you can deliver. So if you are there as a title and doing nothing, I'm not sure anyone will trust you to put you in any position. In the trusting that you will deliver, you will give out some things, until they see what you are doing. For example, remember when I was president of Tanzania Association here in Nigeria, someone saw what I was doing, and then they contacted me, and then later on, it was the Africa Union Student Platform. That was an organization that took me in. If you go back to look why, it's because they saw what I was doing. That if this person can do this and that, if we put him here, he can deliver as well. So as I said before, leadership is measured by fulfilling of the responsibilities. Yes.
Oh, amazing. So it's like as you're fulfilling these responsibilities, it makes you develop a level of trust, because people need to be able to trust you.
Exactly.
So in short, a leader needs to be able to inspire people.
Exactly.
He does not conjure them into. He inspires them. He brings out that trust in them.
The more you work, the more people they see, and the more you are getting higher.
So I'm talking to the right person about this thing. Okay. Okay, that's like I had some couple of questions like that I wanted to really wanted to ask.
Yes.
And like now some of them, like, okay, I have them, I'm like, okay, it's like this question is okay, and I'm just gonna ask this question anyway, because someone will need to actually like pay attention to it, because I feel like for me as I'm listening to you,
yes,
like some of the things I've been answered, but I need to clarify some things. Okay, so going back now, because now you're gonna continue taking us through this your journey of evolving and growing in being a leader. So like, and you shared a little bit about your stage where you were growing as a child, and as you're moving.
Yes.
And so I was gonna ask you, like, did you look like it? Like as a child, did you look like it? Were you one of those children? Because when we're growing up, we always, I don't know for you, but some of us when we were growing up, there used to be these children that, okay, there are some children that they just look like it, like they just look like it. Where people just pick them, and then there are some. There will be some of us where you're not even in the radar. You're not even in the radar.
People, they don't know where to put you.
Yeah, you're not even. You don't look like it. And then there'll be some children that didn't look like it. And then maybe someone, maybe an individual, just see something that people are not seeing, and then they put them there. Then they're like, oh wow, this child is he has something, but we're not seeing it.
Yeah.
So, for you, where would you place yourself?
For me, I can praise myself to this group of children who were you can't put them in a group to expect them to becoming somebody's later on. Because when I was growing, just a little kid, a little boy, my mom told me that I was very, very, very timid, and when you take me to the public, to other people, I would not talk. I would just keep quiet. Yes. Sometimes they used to ask my mom if I'm mute.
If you're mute.
Yes. So through that, growing, and meeting some people, of course, I would make a few friends that I'm comfortable with. But taking me outside of that zone, it will be difficult.
It will be a struggle.
A big struggle.
And the funny thing is, like many amazing leaders, they like many amazing people in leadership that are leadership leaders. They used to be like that. Okay, you can.
Yes. So I remember when I started even preaching at our primary school, doing this, praying for people. I didn't want my parents to hear what I'm doing.
You didn't want your parents to hear?
I wanted my parents to just, and my brothers, my whatever people in my family, to just look at me the way they look at me. But to know things I'm doing outside of our house, I didn't want them to know.
Okay. So
it was a little bit impossible again, because people were coming back to tell my parents, Yoshack was doing this and that today. Mom will come and he was doing this and this, you. Come on, again I feel like, look at this. So growing in that state, I was led to let my parents know what I'm doing. I'm preaching, I'm doing that. I remember the first time it was around 2011, if I'm mistaken, 2011, 2012, around there, or 13. My pastor, my church, for the first time during the service, like the proper service at our church, he said, you are going to preach. So my prayer on that day is that my mom and my dad should not come at church today. They should just stay home, wherever they are. Stay home, wherever they are. They should not see what I'm doing. So the day came, and then I went there, and my pastor used to call me a pastor, a student's pastor, because I was so much working with student fellowship associations and stuff. So he used to call me pastors for students. So sometimes wherever, if there's any other student who is misbehaving, pastor will ask me, Pastor, what is going on? One of your members are not doing
God.
Yeah, so he introduced me at church that day. He said, today we'll be saved by students pastor. Please come forward. So I went forward and I preached. I've forgotten the message I preached. But yes, information went back home.
Oh wow. And when your parents were hearing what this is, what was their reaction? What would they say?
Their reaction is just happy, because I was that kind of boy who is growing, and all of mothers, parents around home, they would want to have a boy like me. And they didn't hesitate to show that to me, that a boy who is obedient, a boy who is following the instruction of their parents. I remember by then I'm so much preaching to my fellow children that this Romans 1:6:1, obey your parents and stuff. Yes.
Oh,
So
that's nice.
I'm so much into it in such a way. I lived, I can say, a triangle life. I'm not at home, I'm at church. I'm not at church, I'm at school. So school, home, church. School, home, church. You can't find me anywhere else. I'll be there.
Wow. Wow. Hey, I don't have words. That's really amazing, guys.
Oh.
Wow. Okay. And so so this where when all this was happening, you know, you being that child that was, you were trying so hard to keep to yourself, and yet it seems like your environment was pushing you into that place of where God was really was really calling you to be.
Yes.
When all that was happening, because the next question that I was gonna ask was like, we're Africans, we're in Africa, and one of the things that you notice in many African backgrounds is, although like Africa right now, she's awake, she's becoming more awake to her identity.
Yes.
But if we were to take a reflection on like the backgrounds in Africa, it's like it's not everyone that has the privilege to come from a background where they are empowered, where they are empowered to have this, why can I say, this mind that is free, because there's this mental slavery that is in the mind of Africa, that used to be in the mind of Africa for a very long time. And so many young people in Africa, it's like they don't come from backgrounds that empower them to tap into their leadership potentials. And many of the cultures in Africa, it's like they indirectly or subconsciously they try to limit that thing, and so many young people are not empowered. So I was like, okay, the reason I asked you, like, when you were a child, did you look like it? I want to ask you, like, and did you look like it? And if you did or did not look like it, like, how was even your background? Then already now, as you were sharing with me, it seems like your own background is like you really had people that were encouraging you, like they were allowing that person to come out.
Yes.
Which is the best of many Africans now.
Yes.
You were actually privileged. Okay. And so I don't know, do you have anything to say on that subject of like the liberation of the mind of an African child?
Yes.
Or if you have seen it around?
Yes, I have seen it, and from what I have seen is that Africans, I think more than 70% of African population, we are living in rural areas. And in these rural areas, most of the time is maybe you will find one tribe here, one tribe there, one tribe there. So there's this mindset, poor mindset, that they wouldn't want any child from our tribe or from neighborhood to succeed. But where I grew up is the place where there are many tribes mixed up. Tin town is called Ubaruku, so there are many tribes there, and something that I thank God is that my parents were born again, and also my life was totally taken into Jesus, where everyone is free and people are willing to grow you into what you are becoming. You see. So this helped me. They helped me to move.
Okay, so I was also gonna ask you another question. Like, can you also share with us practically? I don't know how you just share it as how you dealt with it. Like, if there was, as we're becoming, you're sharing as like, in your own, from your background, you had enough support. There was this, this room where you're able to allow yourself to grow. And you talked about how you were that boy that wanted to try to keep to himself, but at a point you had to step out. And so can you share with us, like, practically some of the things that you had to unlearn and relearn, especially from that transitioning from you being that little boy that, like, okay, I know, I just want to keep to myself. I don't want my parents to see me. I don't want, like, can you tell us, like, the psychological, one of the things that you had to work on, your psychology and your understanding in that? even as Jesus was helping you?
Oh, something that I had to work on myself is to accept that no matter what, there will be people who are against whatever we'll be doing. And to measure if something I'm doing is right is also through people. So not all of them will be against. Those who are seeing it as a right thing, they will support. And those who are seeing it as a wrong thing, they will support. They will be against you. So I had to learn to accept people who have different ideas from mine. And also people who are against me, totally against me. I had to accept that. I remember when I became the president of our school, when I was secondary school, there was this one person that he said, you, even if they would have put you and the stone, after they elected the stone, better than you.
Wow, that's so savage.
So he kept on saying that, come on God, what is this now? So what happened is that that guy, he came into a position where he was supposed to be suspended from school. And the teacher who was responsible to send him away, he called me. Teacher called me and said, talk to your fellow student. Like, teacher was angry in such a way to the point that she cannot even talk anymore. She said,
why was she angry though?
This person, he did something. I don't remember clearly what was that, but it's sort of misbehaving, and it was a case that can send him back home. So I had to go and sit down with a brother and tell him what's wrong, and help him to stay at school instead of being suspended. So imagine you are talking to a person who has been saying he would have elected a stone.
Oh wow, this was the same person that told you that.
And now you have to help him to continue with his studies and not be sent home. Yeah. So this was another measure to me that I'm not allowed to revenge, because I have he has been giving me sleepless nights, and now I have to do him well. So here now I'm learning, I don't know, spiritual maturity. That okay, I have to forgive and forget. He's my brother. Maybe he was doing that accidentally. And from there, when I succeeded bringing him back to school, he never said again, stone is better than me.
I'm sure he was really, wow. So it seems like there was a lot of growth internally, a lot of
yes.
a lot of some challenges that were presented to you that had to cause, force you into this growth. Okay, that's awesome. Now that makes sense. It makes sense to like how you, because I think because all this was happening when you were in school, right?
Yes.
Before you even started university, and so you had all this understanding, this kind of mind. So you're able to even when you're now advancing in life, you're able to be in spaces that maybe your fellow mates will not be there, because there was an understanding that you had picked because of this early exposure to these places. Wow. Okay.
So another thing I like about Jesus is that he will teach you to view things from his point of view, to view things as he views the things. So this will help you, even if something was meant to destroy you, to look at it in a positive way and to deal against it in a positive way. Yes.
Wow. So practically, in that place, you're unstoppable, because it's like everything that is being thrown, you're using it to do something big.
You see now.
Wow.
Yeah.
You see, God is amazing.
Yes.
Jesus is really amazing, because He does not only empower us to do things, but He also gives us the power to change even the things that look impossible into something that is extraordinary. Wow. This is, listening to this story, you don't need to try to explain a lot of things. It's just, your life is just explaining on its own. Okay. So I do have can you share with us some other battles that you had to fight? Like, okay, did you, in this journey, as you're moving ahead again in life, did you experience any okay, you just shared this, but is there any other places where you experienced where this scenario where people try to label you. Like for example, you know, I've heard some leaders, some people that have, you know, walked in this journey of leadership. Maybe they might not be in positions, but people that have exemplified leadership by how they live. And you know, and many of them, like, they experience this thing of, like, you know, people try to put you in a box, or each and or a person has a certain bottle, or a certain thing, a place where they are putting you in their mind. And so now you have to try to fight this battle of breaking out of that label that people are putting in their mind, because there's more to you. And so you as a leader, and you coming into maybe different new spaces of people that don't even know you, and already they are putting you in some, like, I don't think this one you can, I don't think this one you can, I don't think. And so did you experience that? And if you did, like, how did you really deal with that?
What I remember is when I was the president of Tanzanian community here, something that I faced, because according to trends of this position, is that I was almost the first Christian to hold that position. And later on, what came, it was something that was, I think, intended to break the community into two according to their religions. So I had to consult myself and review again and again myself, rethink, evaluate myself on how I'm going to deal with it, because I didn't want to deal with it in a negative way. I wanted to deal with it in a positive way, so that people can see Jesus even through the whole process of problem solving. So yes, I remember there was a time that I wanted even to resign. I had to resign.
Wow.
But I remember that day I called the ambassador, our ambassador, the ambassador of United Republic of Tanzania here in Nigeria. So I talked to him. I remember it was a weekend, and I told him that I want to talk to you as you are my father, a father and a son. I don't want us to talk as official. I mean, you know, yeah. So he accepted, and I talked to him. After talking to him, now I felt like I have vented out, like something heavy has now gone, and he gave me some suggestions to follow, and I say thank you. And then after that, I resolved it, although it was not on how he suggested. It was on a different way, but something just went off and peace came back. That was one of my hardest time in leadership.
So in short, what you're saying is, like, okay, so in this journey of leadership, it's not a journey where you're supposed to walk on it alone. Like it's like this person played as a mentor in that season. And so it's the importance of having people to look up to, people that have gone ahead, people that can speak sense into you, people that can, you know, show you light and everything. Wow.
So there are some positions in leadership that you can hold. Those positions are how do I call them? I can call them as institution. The institution, they are comprising you and other people that you can look help from. They could be your helpers. They could be sometimes your secretaries. You know, people that you can discuss something, you can digest something together before you go out and make a move. But again, there's some times where, despite that it is an institution that includes more than you, but it's still, even people around you, they look on you because they have gotten to the point where they see nothing. So they expect from you, a leader, to show up the way where they can follow. Yeah, so two scenarios can happen, and when you go back looking at your helpers and seeking help from them, and they got nothing to say, you just pray that the Lord give me a way out of this.
Okay.
Jesus is faithful.
Wow. So in short, like, okay, you're talking about how in this, especially if you're someone who has not just a responsibility for yourself, responsibility for other people, you really need to have something that is greater than you. Something that is greater than you. Because there are places where, like, you know, our own understanding can fail. Exactly. Our own wisdom can fail.
Exactly.
Our own, you know.
You need some sort of help. Because if not, you can I don't know, you can go mad. Because there are some things that are so heavy, and they would need you somewhere where you can put them down and refresh yourself.
Wow. And so like, what can we say? So we can say, what's the strength behind your leadership as a person, in your personal life, in the lives of those that you've had the privilege to lead, in every sphere?
Yeah, the source of strength. You know, I maybe sometimes I look strong leader, strong person that people can depend on. But I have my own time when I see things are not moving, and people they expect from me to get hope, and I don't have any hope to give them. So what I'm doing is that I'm getting to the near and ask God, how can I do here? Because you are the one who initiated this, and you have put me to stand as a responsible upon this. Help me. And good thing that Jesus never fails. He'll give you a way out. This is just a small word that you are going to transfer it to the people. They are going to get a new hope, strong hope than never before.
Wow. A lot is being dished out, guys. A lot is being dished out. And so I can say God is behind all. God is behind Mr. Yoshack, the leadership of Mr. Yoshack. Okay. And again, this is for someone that might want to also understand. Have you, you know, as you see, you are sharing of all these privileges that you've had to to be in leadership spaces, to take up responsibilities, not just for yourself but for other people. And some of these responsibilities, they need someone who has a strong sense of identity, strong sense of identity and understanding of who they are. Because we don't understand, it's like you can't lead people and you can't lead your own life already. You can't lead yourself. Okay, so have you always been? I know for me I've already picked some things, but I need someone to hear. Have you always had this strong sense of identity?
There is not only once. It's something that I live in always and every day, because I cannot move on without understanding who am I, and what I'm supposed to do, and where am I going, and where am I taking this people to, you see. And once you realize your identity, you just simplify things on how things should go. I am this, and I am to do 1, 2, 3. So meaning that you are going to have your own goals, long-term goals, short-term goals, and you are going to work on everything you are doing is something that is taking you closer to your goal, closer to your goal every day. That's all.
So is it have you found yourself in times where you have to constantly remind yourself, then where you have to remind yourself okay, this is who I am, this is what I represent, and this is where I'm going. Because it can be a lot, especially if you are someone with a lot of people, it can be a lot. You can get lost. Okay, because I noticed there are some amazing leaders that have, unfortunately, they have lost themselves in titles, in responsibilities, and sometimes they can get attached to those things, and then they feel like that thing is them. And can you talk about like that thing of like, are you able to separate like you as an you, like am I able to separate me as Aretha from the responsibilities that I have?
Yes, not only from me and the responsibilities that I have, but also the responsibility that I have for the secular community and the responsibility that I have for the non-secular community. There was time that I was yes, I can say most of the time I'm into both.
The two, yeah.
So I can be a leader for non-secular and secular as well. So
in a society where like it's mixed,
everybody,
it's not religious.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. So what is happening is that leadership in church and leadership in these other groups, they look different sometimes. In these other groups, we have constitutions, we have body of regulations, we have laws that we're working on. Meaning that I will go back to the constitution and read it. How is it saying when we are facing this? If it's firing someone in fire, if it's taking some sort of hard decisions according to the constitution, then you move on with that. Why to the church now? This is you have to use wisdom. Because there is a point where your decision might affect the whole church negatively. Just one decision, and there's a point where you can let someone maybe to drop out from the church, and it could be your totally fault because you were not able to know what should you do at what time, when, to who. So if you fail that, meaning that you have failed to define the wisdom, because wisdom is something that you should do you should ask yourself at what time, when, to who, and for what purpose. So if you do something right to a right person at the right environment, you can see that is working, right? So in church is where most of decisions you will need more of understanding maturity in Christ. Because this maturity, as I have told you my story, I have also gone through a lot, and that I have seen things how my elders and my leader in Christ have been solving issues, and also I've seen how myself have been solving issues, and through that I have another chance to ask Holy Spirit, how should I solve this issue? So is a little bit confusing if you're not aware between these two groups, how you can take them forward. Because if you are so much concentrated into a non-secular group, you can find yourself, you have taken the definition of leadership from this group, you are applying it into this group, and God will not tolerate that. It's better you take a leadership skills from church, you apply it, than taking it, you apply it, you see things. Because this is a spiritual world where non-spiritual things are not allowed. And once you introduce them, you have read the story of Eli in the book of Samuel, and what happened. Yeah, so it really needs a careful mind, an open mind, matured mind to be able to tackle some issues between the two groups.
Oh wow. Wow, that's deep. That's deep, especially for people that are exposed to these spaces. Like okay, like if you're that person that finds yourself in those two groups, in those two leading those two groups of people, there really needs to be that caution. Okay, that's true. That's true. Okay, so as someone that has been highly proactive in the service of your community, because you've been in different leadership spaces, the former president of Tanzanian Students Association, the SICO, foreign students, community here in Algeria, in Constantine, in AUSP, and many other places. Yeah. So like what fuels your your passion in serving your community? Yeah, because you've really gone all the way out. You've taken up roles of leadership, even when there's no one else that is available to take them up. You've taken them up, and not only taken them up, but you've been able to work with people to carry people along.
Yes.
So what has been like, what fuels you in all that?
Is to unite people, to put people together. The Bible says, how is it good when brothers are together? So what I like is to unite Africans together. And if you have seen, I sometimes trying to unite East Africans together. I'm from East Africa, and also sometimes I'm trying to unite Sub-Saharan people together, and sometimes yes, this kind of activities. Because once we are united as young people of this continent, I believe that with their engine, we are the engine to push forward the continental goals that we have. As of currently, we have the Africa We Want agenda, that is Agenda 2063. We have set 50 years, and we have aspirations of this major goal that we believe that within these 50 years, we need to get at a certain level. But meanwhile, also we're working with our global goals, I mean the UN goals, and currently we are into the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, that is Agenda 2030.
Okay.
We have remained with like 5-6 years before we wrap up and evaluate what we have done throughout the years. Wow. So what I want is us to be united and fight against our enemies, diseases, and illiteracy, and poverty. So once we are united, all these problems, once we are united, they are easy to eradicate than when we are disparted.
That's awesome. And I like the fact that like all these things that are being done, that you've done, it's like you are young. You're young, and it's so important for Africa to have many young people actually to be doing these things, because we are the future. We are the one that makes the future, right? And so yeah, that's okay. That's amazing. And so what message then do you have for a young person out there that might have like a burden to bring a positive change in their society, in their city, in their nation, in their continent, like any young person, but it's like, or even they want to take up maybe even leadership, political roles, even they want to go even to that extent, and they are a believer, and maybe they feel like they are not, they've not seen an example. And some of them, maybe they feel like, oh, maybe am I able to do this, since because I also feel like sometimes when we are believers, there are some believers that have this thing of like they shy away from these things, but we are supposed to be in these places. So what would you say?
To first of all, trusting God. Within trusting God, they will find this message from the book of Jeremiah, if I'm mistaken, 29:11. Says He has good thoughts for you. And I like the last part of this verse that says to give you hope for the future. So the distance between where you are and where God wants you to be, there's a plan that God already has it for you. So once you trust Him, meaning you are trusting His plan, so He will take you through it up to where He wants you to go. And bear in your mind that wherever God is taking you to, He wants you to express who He is. Whatever position He's taking you to, He wants you to say who you are and who has brought you here. You see, so that the glory can go back to Him. Yes, so just trust God. Once you trust God, you trust His plan, the confidence in you will come. Once the confidence has come, then within other confidence you will get many skills, public speaking skills. I remember, as I shared with you before, when they were recruiting us how to preach, and what they told us, just go into your bedroom, you put a big mirror inside, and you assume that you're in front of the church, and you are starting preaching there, read Bible, and so you can start those practice. You are standing there and give speech and evaluate what you have said. Will people understand me if I say this? And in which way should I say it? Sometimes people, they have good ideas, but the way they present them is weak, and they doesn't get many votes from what they have said. So learn to have an idea that will touch many minds, and then learn how to present it. Yes.
Oh wow. So it's like, so God needs to really help you in it's one thing to have an amazing idea, and another thing is to deliver.
To deliver it. A different thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And so again, corporate leadership. Corporate leadership is like the leadership of, like, you know, many people. It starts from first. This is a statement that I know, and I want you to comment on it. Like, it says corporate leadership starts with personal leadership. Personal leadership meaning, like, you having the ability to lead and direct, you know, and make decisions for your good decisions for your own self, especially as an individual, and for your own life, being clear about who you are and where you're going, and being able and having a sense of discipline, self-awareness, and all these things. And then, so this statement is saying, so that corporate leadership starts from personal leadership. Do you think
it is very true? The things start with you personally. Were you able to read yourself? Were you able to arrange or rearrange your life? I mean, are you able to plan a day? There was a time when I was holding so many positions, church and after the church, and also I was working. So what was happening is that I will wake up in the morning, I go to work, and then I will come back around 4 evening, and then before I do anything solid, I'll get into my knees to pray for 1 hour, and then from there I will now look at the updates. What do I have on my table, on my different tables? Church positions, what do I have to accomplish it today? On my whatever leadership position, what do I have that I have to accomplish it today? If it's writing letters, sending emails, doing that, reaching out to some people, I will do that. And then after doing that, I continue with other personal activities. So if you are able to arrange your day clearly and discipline of following what you have arranged, then you can also have a step out to arrange for others as well. And those others are going to arrange for them. They will get interested on the way you are arranging, because this comes from your personal life. It's not something that you have adapted, that you have to use it just to manipulate them. It's something that you are living in. And there is a spiritual connection between who you are and what you are doing to people. The strongest thing is when you are doing something that is inside you already, something that has changed your life already, and then you are sharing it with others. Even the spiritual atmosphere of the audience will accept it easier. Yes.
Wow. I think these things are spiritual. That the truth is these things are spiritual.
Yes.
Although it might not go out there and be like, okay, this is to every person, but truly.
For you, you know that this works from spiritual, because everything I have gone into my knees to pray to God. God, I need this to work out. I need this to work out. Others might not know what you are paying to get where you are, but you know how much have you paid for it. You know how many days have you gone without eating. You know how many times have you kneeled down to ask God. No. Yes. So that is be your personal business between you and God. When you come out to deliver, you are delivering something that is sourced from your spiritual life.
Oh wow. Wow. Okay. And so again, I want to also ask another thing. Like okay, there's another thing that says leadership has a lot to do with self-awareness, integrity, communication, being a person of integrity, communication, being able to communicate to people, or empathy, and respect. Can you recall, these roles that you're picking up, and also you just living on life with your family? Like, do you recall all these things coming into play? Like, being a person of integrity, being self-aware, communication, empathy, respect. These things ring a bell.
Exactly. From background, from my roots, I'm living it and I'm showing it for the people who are around me and for the people who are coming to know me in the future. So they're coming to know that this person has got this thing. This person is working on 1, 2, 3. This person can have a good communication. This person can have sympathy over something. This person can have this, and this. So you can see at the end of the day, they are describing you according to what you practice, according to how you have showed yourself to them, how you have presented yourself to them. So all these aspects have been working through, have been going with me.
Amazing. It's awesome. Okay, so this was supposed to be the last question, but as we're speaking, I'm just gonna ask one last question. I feel like this is important.
Yes.
Like, as you were in your journey, you are not just a leader that has led maybe your fellow believers only. You've worked with unbelievers.
Yes.
You've been exposed to people that actions that outrightly rejected Christ. And you've been able to work with them, amicably. And so, like, I also want to know, like, you as a believer, and you having professed your stand for Jesus, like, have you found it as a challenge? Like, has your faith put you in some tight spaces or put you in some tight corners as you've been working with different people from different
religious background?
Has it somehow or at a point attracted a level of hostility? I don't know. I just want to hear your experience.
It has happened. Somewhere you'll see if I was maybe believing into something different, I would have gotten a lot of yes or benefit. But since I have proclaimed myself as Pastor Yoshack, you already know who you are, and then people are starting putting their cold hearts on you. People are starting to not to accepting you. Yes, I have been into this, but good thing is that at the end, Jesus is winning. Jesus is winning, and He's taking me through. So at the end, even themselves, they are coming to realize that this was the last choice we did. Like, even if they did an opposite choice, and that opposite choice didn't win, they are coming to realize that
it's bringing them back to what you were pointing out.
Yes, like now, they even themselves they're coming to understand that it's not religious aspect that is working, it's personality of something. Okay. But me deep down I know that my personality has been built into Christ. That's why they can see it.
Oh wow, that's awesome. And like, have you ever felt like you need some places to try to like maybe tone it down, or like, okay, just let me just come with neutral. Like, do you guys like experience sometimes this temptation of like, okay, I'm not gonna say much, or I'm not gonna I'm not gonna, all right, you might not, actually you don't need to say a lot of things, but have you been in that position where you feel like, let me try to not even show. Let me wear a jacket and just let me not
Good
cause
thing is
trouble.
that, should I call good thing or bad? But it's good thing. Good thing is that even if you hide it to show up, even if you try to mask up Holy Spirit, to mask up your identity, it will come out. So you better just be free and let Lord Himself introduce you to whatever side you want people to know you, and then you just go easily like that. Yeah.
Amazing. You know, if it was possible,
Yeah.
this conversation would even elongate, because I truly have a lot to say. Honestly, I'm being sincere, because there's a lot that truly people can learn from your journey. But as always, you know, sometimes we have to come to it. We have to come to an end.
Yes.
We have to apologize and say, guys, we're sorry. We have to come to an end now. Yeah. And by God's will, if you pray, we might have him again. But anyways, Joshua,
Yes.
thank you so much for coming here, for sharing with us, and for sharing with us, you know, a lot of things. Though I feel like we couldn't really scratch it to the surface. Yeah. And so, what last word would you want to share with the people, the viewers? What word of encouragement, or anything that you want to share?
A brother, a sister out there who is has put in their life into Jesus, and they have come to the point of doubting, should I continue Jesus or should I, because life is getting like this, like that. I want to encourage you that you are on the right side of believing on Jesus. Keep pushing, keep going. Everything is sourced from God. Everything is sourced from God. So once you resource your life from somewhere else, your identity will change. And if your identity will change, meaning that you no longer be into Christ. And if it's no longer into Christ, meaning that you are no longer you, something else. So keep on pushing, keep on praying, keep on learning about God, keep on moving, push things, learn about Jesus, and learn about how what God has for you. And at the end of the day, you will get where you want to go.
Amazing. And also, if people would want to follow you, if people want to maybe, I don't know, maybe connect with you, what social media spaces can you find you?
Oh,
Your username, Facebook, Instagram.
I am on social media, on Instagram. I'm named as Yoshack underscore. On Instagram as well. I mean on Twitter, formerly Twitter, now is what X. I'm also Yoshack underscore, and yeah, I think that is all. So there you can just get me there.
Amazing. So thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us up to this point. I truly believe that if you've been connected, if you've been following, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 things here from Mr. Yoshack. And also, like you said, you can follow him on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. He's there. All right. And so, and also, if you've been blessed, please don't forget to like, also comment, and even share with someone else. Do comment. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear what you'll pick from all this, right? And Yeah, and also Mr. Yoshack is from Tanzania, and he likes to unite Africans. Please, can you just shout out to some Tanzanians, to some Kenyans, to some...
Hey Tanzania, mambo vipi? Mimi ni Yoshack. Nawashukuru sana kutoka kwenye hii platform inaitwa Awaken Generation. Leo nimekaribishwa, nimekuja kuzungumza hapa, kushare experience yangu katika Yesu Kristo na pia katika uongozi ambao nimekuwa nikiufanya, na namshukuru dada Aretha ambaye amekuwa mwenyeji wangu leo, na naamini kwamba utakuwa umejifunza vingi na utaendelea kujifunza vingi. Naamini wakati mwingine tutakutana pia katika platform hii, na Mungu akubariki sana, ubarikiwe.
Yes, so until next time.